To celebrate my last video and the launch of my Patreon, I am giving away an Avaya knife blue steel in minimal wear. To enter, like every week, subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment I entered into the comments, and send your trade for the knife directly via my trade link below. Good luck and enjoy the video. Virtual items are popular. Crypto, NFTs, or even CSGO skins kinda work the same way. The item is bound to your account, and as you have the ownership of your account, you are the only owner of that particular item. If you compare NFTs to CSGO skins, they are quite similar, with the only difference being that CSGO skins in the end still belong to Valve, but on the other hand have a specific use case. Flaming people that have them, that they have skins but no skill. Sorry, I get that too often. But with every item you own and maybe sell one day, you want to know the price of it. But that can be tricky sometimes. For example, on the estate market, people pay hundreds of dollars to get their property valued. Crypto has a big market and is not an individual, so you always kinda know the price. But with NFTs, or in our case CSGO skins, it is a bit tricky. So in this video you will learn how to price check your CSGO skins. I want to announce that I just launched my Patreon. Feel free to check it out, you can support me there and get exclusive content, be mentioned in my videos, or even individual trading advice, tips and price checks. So depending on the situation, the money you spend on my Patreon can easily save you more. Also feel free to like and subscribe and ring the bell. Thanks! How hard a CSGO skin is to precisely value depends on its liquidity. If you don't know what that is, please check out my video where I talk about that. The more liquid a skin is, the more references you have on the market, and therefore it is easier to set a price where you know you get a fair amount of money, but don't have to wait for long to sell it or trade it. But what is a fair price in the first place? No item really has a set price in my opinion. It is more of a scale. If we take the Orb Aetherus in Fidus condition with an average float and no stickers for example, which is one of the most liquid items you can find, we see that on buff 163 for example, it sells between $2 and $2.3 in the last 3 days. So if you offered your orb in this price range in the last 3 days, it probably got sold. But within this price range, the following thing happened. The sellers that offered it for $2 sold it immediately. And the sellers for $2.3 waited up for 3 days but got a bit more. What can we learn from that? How you price your items depends on the selling price range plus the time you're willing to wait. To sum that up, I personally define a good price as follows. A good price is the value where I can sell my item within 2 to 7 days. Why 2 to 7 days? Simply because if I sell my item within 1 day, I normally have the feeling that I sold it for too cheap. And 2 to 7 days is the time where I think I will get a fair price, but I don't have to wait for too long. This is very easily applicable on different markets, but it's a bit more complicated when it comes to trading. In trading, it is important to argue and also prove to the person you're trading with that the prices you are valuing your items at are true. Therefore, I always try to take the average price from the last comparable sales, depending on the liquidity of an item. This is because for the Orb Aetherus field tested for example, I know that the chance that I will get the average selling price of the last 3 days is very high. The opposite would be for example my Nomad knife case hardened in factory new condition, which has a 0.007 float, which is really low and is the complete opposite when it comes to liquidity. It sells rarely, and with the special float it makes the illiquidity even worse. Therefore I will price it with comparable sales, but I will keep in mind that the price range is probably higher and it will probably take longer to sell it for the average price I valued it. And depending on the item it can also be smart to be ready to go lower. Why that? Simple example. A comparable Nomad knife sells for around $440 on buff. I take 2.5%. So normally I will wait until I receive an offer worth at least $451 US. But as these knives are so hard to trade sometimes, it can be worth in a financial perspective to trade it for an even price or even a small loss. As all money that is stuck in a skin won't get you anything. So if I wait like 5 months to sell it for 2.5% more, it would be more worth to sell it after 1 week for normal buff price, for an even price where I don't make anything, because the items I get there will be easier to trade. And if you are not trading for profit, it can be really frustrating to search for a good deal for a long time. So also here it can be worth to take a small loss, which is better than to take a small loss on your nerves over 4 weeks. Let's look at 3 examples to help you price your items. First, we started with the Bayonet Safari Mesh in field tested condition. It is a simple and liquid item with no special conditions, like pattern or stickers. Maybe you could get a little overpay for good float, but normally this is in a $1 or $2 range. So we are on buff now, and we see the prices, the records, the buy orders, and so on. Let's try to determine the price. First, let's look at how much the item is listed at, and also look at the floats here. This is like the top, because normally when that many items are listed, the average price is probably a bit lower than that. But let's check it. Let's look at the trade records. These are the actual sales and is the most important number to price your items. And we see these are a little bit lower. The higher ones are probably low floats. Yes, this is a 0.16. This is normal one. This is a 0.16 again. This is a 0.15. So we see the average price will be around $110. If you want the bottom, you can look at the buy orders. You can see these if you use Steam Market to price your items. You see that the price spikes up and down, and you know that these are buy orders because they are around the buy order price, and these are the normal sales. So if you want to trade and you use Steam to price, it would be unrealistic to price your item like this. A more realistic approach would be to count the average price of the actual sales. I use buff to price my items, so we go back to buff. I would price the Bayonet Safari Mesh with an average float at about $110. Second, with a more tricky one. The Falchion knife rust coat in well worn. Well worn rust coat knives are like minimal wear Doppler knives. They are rare, but normally look worse than the liquid alternative. So taking more time to price it and even get a second opinion can be a good choice. Next, the Falchion knife rust coat in well worn. You see that it's listed 10 times less than the Bayonet we looked at before, and it is listed at $65 at the moment. So some people would say it's worth $65. But if you check the actual sales, you see that it is worth a little bit less. It sells for a little bit more here, 65, 65, 65. But you see that there are a lot of sales at 59, 62, 59. This is supply, we don't count this, these are buy orders. What is special here is that you see that these sales are only like one every day. The last sale is even about 2 weeks ago. So you see that this item is not very liquid. The buy order is at $60, which is quite surprising. And if I had one of these, I would value it at around $62. Last, a special one. A tier 3 well-worn AK case hardened with a Titan 2014 sticker. This is a very special, low liquidity item only a few people really want to get and play. Getting some more opinions about the price of it, maybe from a YouTuber named Neon, which offers help if you subscribe to his Patreon, will save you a lot of money. But in the end it also will have the same condition like with my Nomad case hardened FN. But let's try it anyways. So, the last one is a really special one. You see there are only 4 of these up to sell, and these are not comparable, you see, because they have more expensive stickers. This is the most expensive sticker we are looking at, but the NIP Kato Holo is also really expensive. These are Kato crafts at all, so you can't really price your AK like this. What is special with the case hardened is that this tier 3 says that it has a little bit of good blue, but this pattern, if you look at this, look quite different. This has a blue body, this has a quite middle body, this one has more of a blue mag and a little bit of blue top. So these patterns differ too. And you have to know that there are better tier 3 patterns and there are worse tier 3 patterns. So let's try to price these. We can't go to actual sales because there are tier 3 sales here. And this is probably a good one or with good stickers. But you can see how much a Titan Kato 2014 tier 3 AK case hardened sold for. What we can say, that it is probably cheaper than this one. The stickers on this one are $1,800 more, and it's a little bit of a Kato 2014 craft. So we know that our AK, which is kind of like this, with one Titan Kato 2014, is probably worth less than this. As we learned that the price range of these is way higher than with more normal items, I personally would value it around $150 and if it doesn't sell or I only get bad offers, I will go lower over time depending on how fast I want to sell it. How do I calculate this? I calculate it with the sticker values and also the position of the stickers, because the position is really bad and so on. If you want to learn more about sticker pricing, I can really recommend Zippel's video on that. He's way more experienced in this and his tips are probably better than mine when it comes to pricing sticker crafts. So I hope I could help you guys with pricing your items. Keep in mind that in the end this is just my way of doing it, and if you have other opinions or use other sites to price your items, that's totally fine. This is just my method, which has the highest amount of references that are possible, and therefore I think it's the best and most precise way to price your items. Yeah, I think that sums it up really good. I am Neon, and I see you guys in the next one.